apparently I'm stuck. Oh. All right. Okay, so it should be streaming right about now. And we'll hit preview. We'll go live. Okay. There we are. Okay. So, I believe, let's see if I'm right. Everybody should be up and running at this point. I have hit. Okay, so it turns out that I have to hit Periscope manually. So, hello out there, Internet universe. Let's see what else is going on. I think we have sound and video everywhere. Sure looks like it. I'm good. All right, so if you're watching a recording of this, do fast forward about a minute. We are just about there. Everything seems to be working today. Yay! It's a good day. Week 36, that means we are, what does that mean? We're 9 months in? Starting our 9th month here. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think I've got everything. I got my project samples. I have my templates. Oops, I need a Sharpie. We'll need a Sharpie too. Don't know why I have my scalpel out here, but hey, put that away. Let's see what else I need. Oh, and a bench block. Of course, the mouse needs to go away. Okay, it's 1 o'clock. You ready? Shall we do this? Oops. I'm sorry, say that again, honey. Okay, so Andy's telling me that there's a little bit more lag than normal on Facebook, at least for him anyway, so we'll see how it goes for you all. But it is 1 o'clock. Today is November 23rd, week 36. What's so great about week 36? Week 36 means that we are starting a new a new series. That's right. Sorry. Anyway, so we're starting a new series this week. We are stepping away from minimal metal and we are going to hot and cold jewelry connections based on the other book that I wrote. This one. Okay, so this one was written, gosh, it's so crazy. I looked at my contract this morning, literally my book contract from this morning, and it was from 2012 was the book contract, which means this released 2014. So it's been 6 years. Totally crazy. Who knew? But you know, the premise of the book when I did it, I thought it was fun. But back then, okay, let's start with back then, catch you up. A lot of my students were beaders, as I was when I started doing this. And you know, it was really hard to transition for most beaders to transition right into fabrication or metalsmithing, right? So I thought that this book would be really great for beginners and people who were beading to segue right into fabrication. And the premise of the book was to create projects. They were all sister projects, as you can see, that one is done hot and one it has a cold sister, so that you can understand the different approaches to your design concepts, because I feel like techniques are like crayons, right? So do you want the box of 12 crayons or do you want the box of 104 crayons? I, of course, always want the big box because, hey, you have choices. And when it comes to designing and fabrication, if you have a whole box of techniques, then you have different ways that you can approach your design. And that's important because you know what? So often when we are so often when we're designing, we have these ideas and we sit down and we execute it, but it's like, oh, I don't have the technique for that, or I'm unclear about that. And if you have all these techniques under your belt, then you can approach the design in a much more technical way once you have your design laid out. And because again, once you go to execute it, sometimes it doesn't work one way and you have to think about working it another way. And so that was why I created this book, was to give people all these different techniques and different ways of looking at their design projects. So that's where we are. And as in the Minimal Metal Mondays, we're doing Hot and Cold Mondays, but it's the same thing. All the projects that I'm doing going forward are complementary to the book. They are not from the book, okay? So they're all new projects. I know, I'm a nut, but it is what it is. So I'm creating all new projects, and they're all sister projects. So what you're going to get in the following weeks are, I'm starting with the cold, like this one is called Buttoned Up. And then next week, I'm going to do the hot, don't know where the second earring is, of the same project. So they all look really similar, but they have a very different approach to them so that you understand how to approach your design concepts. So there it is. It's all laid out. Anyway, so today we are simulcasting on 4 channels. Really, officially. You know, I have made bad assumptions for the last 7 months, 8 months, that we were simulcasting on Periscope. So we are on Twitch today, Facebook Live, Periscope. Yep, really. We are truly on periscope.tv, and we are on YouTube. I discovered over the weekend that YouTube had shut down a couple weeks ago, and I didn't realize that. And so I think if you look now, you'll find me on YouTube again. I changed, well, let me know if you find me on YouTube again today live, because it turned out that they changed all the codes. I'm like, are you kidding me? We don't get notification of these things. So it's only last minute that I find out, or after the fact that I find out that these things are bad. And Andy is with me, of course, in my ear. He's my producer. He tells me everything that you are saying out there, all your comments, so that I can focus on what I'm doing down here. I'm sorry, Andy, did you have something? Oh, so Andy just verified that YouTube is working. So yay. Okay. There it is. That was a mouthful. That was the intro. And I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. We were doing some twitching over the weekend, as I sometimes do, working on new projects. Totally thrilled if you want to get a hint on what the next step-by-step surprise is, which is next Wednesday. By the way, you can still get a kit, maybe on time, maybe not. But step-by-step surprise next week is Departure. It's called Flaky. Wink, wink, like you don't know what it's going to be. But it is a departure from jewelry. That's what all the departure projects are. And if you want to see what it is, check me out on Twitch, okay? So that said, let's get started on Buttoned Up, okay? So what do you need? You do not need a solder setup because we are doing this cold, right? So you just need a bunch of hand tools. So you're going to need a bench block, a riveting hammer, a file, a pair of shears. A Sharpie is always helpful to have around, a chasing hammer also, and a hole punch, among a couple other things. I'm sure I missed a couple things here. Oh, yes, and a oval template. If you don't have an oval template, if you actually know how, you can draw one on digitally, print it out, and use that as a template, of course. Or if you're really good and know how to draw a perfect oval, then you can go with that. You don't have to have these things. You'll also need some texture plate, textured metal. You can do it in any metal that you want. So some advice here is that you can get this in copper, brass, and silver, but silver is incredibly cost prohibitive. So if you have a rolling mill, you might want to invest in a few texture plates and roll out your own textured copper. However, Asia Rain is taking over for me in a couple of weeks, and she's going to talk about texturing metal and how you're going to be able to texturize your silver with a texture plate without a rolling mill. So you can look forward to that too. So you'll need some texture plate. I'm going to do brass today, and 14 gauge copper or silver wire. Again, all the metals are interchangeable, okay? And so I'm going to also use 14 gauge silver wire. By the way, the instructions for this project, and I'm doing it not as single instructions, but I'm doing it as double. So the instructions will have both the hot and the cold instructions in one instruction sheet, but they're available for download on our website at theurbanbeater.com. So for $5. So, okay, let's jump in. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take out your texture plate and transfer over the design. Okay, so whatever size makes you happy, you can use whatever size you want. I'm using 1 5/8 inches. Okay. Okay, so we'll go like so. And because we're doing a pair of earrings, you will need to make 2 of these. And of course, as always, I'm using scrap. This is actually used brass texture sheet. I have already used these, if you're noticing at all. I have already used these to roll out some silver. So the texture is not great, but it works, right? And we're just doing samples anyway. Okay, so we're going to come in a little bit closer for you. There we go. And then you're going to take out your bezel shears. So any kind of tin snips are good. What you don't want with your bezel shears is you do not want them to be serrated. Oh, you're going to be sitting here filing forever. And then I'm going to choose to cut on the outside line. All right. So we're going to go just like that. Never worry about the Sharpie because it'll come off with some acetone. Or you can take it off with a little bit of steel wool. It should come off. No big deal. All right. Go like so. And it cuts a little bit harder than cardboard. But it's not that hard, right? Because we're only talking about 24 gauge metal. So it's not that big a deal. Now, a lot of people ask, how thick can you go when you're using a pair of shears? My answer really is, it depends on how strong you are. If you don't have hand strength, yeah, you're not going to get very far. And I'm struggling a little bit here because brass is a little bit harder to do. But with these shears that we have, they're German. They're on our website. I can cut up to 18 gauge. Most people can't. So, but that's okay. You can definitely get to 20 gauge though. Okay. So yay. There we go. Just like so. And I'm just going to take off this little nub here because I'm slightly off. I know. I don't know why. Just being a little anal retentive here. Okay, set that aside. Ouch. Sharp edges. And we're going to file just a little bit. Notice I'm filing at a slight angle. Okay. And there we are. Just to remove any of the sharp edges, and if you need to refine your shape, this is how you're going to do it too. It's really nice. There we go. And again, I always stroke my metal to see that I've removed all the sharp edges. And I'm going to take an extra step right now to go ahead and remove any of the Sharpie because it'll be easier than removing it later. Of course, I forgot to grab some steel wool. Let me see. My box here is out of steel wool, so hold on, let me go grab some. And yes, surprise, I'm wearing pants today. Oh. Yeah, I won't make that mistake again like I did on Wednesday last week. We'll just go with that. Okay? So Andy wanted me to let everyone know that the Virtual Labor Crafting kits for myself, Suli, and Ariane have been shipped, with exception of the Murano cab set, your earrings. So that is being held in customs right now. I know. We'll make a decision on how we move forward with that one later. But for us, the kits have been shipped out. Hopefully the other instructors have shipped out your kits too. They have been notified and asked to ship at this point. So So I'm just cleaning this up really quickly because I want to get the Sharpie off. I'm finding that it's easier just to get the Sharpie off now. Had I really thought about it, I would have done it with acetone. Would have been a heck of a lot easier. But anyway, so there you go. Take some of that off. Okay, done deal. All right. So next up, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and pierce a hole at the top. And we're going to use a two-hole drawdown punch, and we're going to use the small side, okay? If you use the large one, you're going to need like a really thick piece of wire. So this is just fine here. And actually, I'm going to mark it. I don't always mark it, but I'm going to mark it this time to make sure that I have it even on both of them. Oops. There, a little bit more. Okay. So you want it to be in the middle of the oval towards the top. And with the drawdown punch, I like to bring it in a little bit closer and then put my piece in, like so. And then work it down. Hold it up to my eyeballs to see where it is. Okay, so you see? There it is. And we're going to crank it down until you feel it release, and then you gently unscrew until it drops off. I do love these punches. You know, it's funny because I remember when I first started doing this, I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. But then I realized it's so much easier than pulling out a flex shaft and a drill bit and drilling. So, and by the way, if you have purchased these in the past and your cutter is worn out, these are replaceable. So it's a lot cheaper to just replace the heads than it is to replace the entire unit. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now we're going to bend it over. If your metal is warped, this is a little bit warped, go ahead and pull out your bench block and flatten it. All right, we'll use a leather mallet on that. Like so. All right, we'll need a round nose, a bail making plier, or a multi-looping plier. I think I'm going to go the multi-looping plier, and I'm going to go about a quarter of the way down. Not a lot. Sort of up to you, right? And I'm just going to bend it right over, just like so. And I'm going to go to the other side so I can do this evenly. Okay? You see how I'm doing that? Just bend it over. So you're just creating a fold over. So now, what I always have a problem with is if I squeeze this down now, it might compress my loop, right? So I'm just going to put this in here. This is a tip, and pull out my nylon nose. This is what you get for watching. You get the tips, and I'm just going to squeeze it down like so. This will be much more helpful. Yeah. Okay. Same thing here. I'm going to put you on this side. Oh, there we go. Squeeze it down. Okay. And we'll do the other one. Same thing. Approximately a quarter of the way up. And bend it down. Okay, so clearly I've gone a little too deep, so I'm going to back it off. Like so, you see that? So I'm coming up here a little bit higher to get that to bend over. Oh yeah, much better. See, to make it a little bit more evenly. But that's how you make the correction. So you want to keep checking before you go too far and then you can't correct it, right? Or then you'll start causing problems. And again, same thing. I'm just going to squeeze down on it, like so. Oops. So I'm just trying to get this down a lot closer to the metal. Okay. So here, I'm going to do, I know, scary thing here. I'm going to use that hole as my guideline. And I'm going to put this right into my tool. Okay, that needs a little bit more of a squeeze. So I'm going to pull out my parallel pliers and squeeze this down. Because I need this to touch a little bit more. You see there's a gap in there? Because it's not wanting to come down. There we go. See? Just like that. Just like so. Then I'm going to take out my 2-hole punch again, and I'm going to use that original hole, because notice how it's facing up, as my guide. And I'm going to gently, you see what I'm doing? I'm going to gently screw it down into that hole. Yeah. And notice how I moved the loop to the outside, because I don't want to crush my loop at all. Take a little bit of finessing. There we go. And screw that down until it releases. Yep. And now unscrew it. And voila. There's my hole. Okay. So do that again on the other one. Because remember, we're making earrings, so you want to work in tandem here. Side by side, and then it ensures that it's a lot more even. Okay, so do it like so. There we go. I'm holding on to the metal to keep it from going inside because I don't want that loop to be crushed. Okay, there's my other hole. 2 holes, and we're good. Okay, so now we're going to take out our bench block, and we're going to rivet these. Okay, so I'm going to gently push these down again because it sort of came apart. I want it a little bit closer, would be nice. And then we're going to pull out our 14 gauge metal. Something happened here, I lost my screen. Okay, sorry, mouse got in the way. And mouse got in the way and it moved my screen. I couldn't see what I was doing. All right, so then I'm going to put this right inside and work it to the other side. And you want it to be approximately 2 millimeters of metal on each side. Can you see that? Yep. Okay. And I'm going to pull out my heavy-duty cutters. So typically I would use my flush cutter, but because my flush cutter is not thick enough, it's not heavy duty enough, I run the risk of breaking it. I've done that before. Did I mention the Lindstroms? Yeah. I remember going to the Lindstrom rep and going, hey, my cutters are broken. He said, well, what were you cutting? And I said, 14 gauge wire. And he just looked at me like, well, no, duh, it broke. So, oh, sorry, tail between my legs, walked away, but the guy was nice. He gave me another pair. That said, okay, so I just used my Kiba cutters, the heavy duty ones, because we are cutting 14 gauge wire. And although the ones that we sell are flush, the ones that I have are not. So I'm going to have to file it just a little bit, just right across the top, because I just want a nice flat edge. There you go, for riveting, okay? So just a little tiny bit of a file, just like so, just right across that metal. All right, so there we are, and push this down just a little bit. So can you see that tiny little bit on each side? I know you can see a gap here, but you're looking for this extra bit right there and the extra bit on that side. So you need that bit of extra wire so that this splays. And what's happening is when you go to hammer this and rivet it, the metal is actually displacing and it's moving out and it's splaying out so that it makes a connection. Okay, so here you're going to pull out your riveting hammer. So do you need a riveting hammer? Well, riveting hammers are nice because it's really small. Can you use a chasing hammer? Yes, you can, but it's a little bit challenging because it's a little bit too big, okay? And then you can use the peen side, But when you're doing a staple like this, it's easier to have a flat head, okay? And the other thing too is it's a little bit smaller and it's lighter, so then you don't run the risk of just completely splatting it. Yes? Yes, this is 14 gauge wire. So Debbie asks if it's 14 or 16. It's actually 14 gauge wire. If you downloaded it last night, I only posted this last night. If you downloaded the instructions last night, sorry, I did an update today. Okay, so yeah, that was a typo on my part. So notice I'm just going to go directly onto that wire, and you can already see it splaying out. And I'm going to flip it over, but here's the trick. Is I don't want to just hammer here because it's going to flatten out my loop. So I'm going to hang it off the side, just like so. And we're going to go directly down on it. You see that? You can totally see it splaying. And I'm going to show you the difference here in a second with another one, okay? So I want this nice and flat so that it doesn't come apart. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. All right, so now we'll do this one, and we'll start with filing it first. It'll be easier. Should have thought about that earlier on the other one, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna file this end first, so then I only have to file one side later. And you want a nice flat end for riveting. Okay, trust me, it'll make life a lot easier. Okay, except I splayed that puppy. That's not right. In the process of filing, I sort of like stretched it, I guess you could say. And you don't want to go in. What the heck? There you are. Pull out some tools and help me out here. There we go. Okay. So I'm just pulling it back just a little bit. And you know, what's great about this is, hey, scrap wire. You know, you want to keep your scrap wire because like this one, you only needed about 1/8 of an inch. You didn't even need that much. So these little 1/2 inches that you have are really nice just to hang on to for things like this. Okay, again, I'm going to cut this right at about 2 millimeters on each side. Okay, so you can see the difference really quickly in how it looks, right? So this one does look a little bit splayed out, while this one does not. And that's how we make our connection. Okay, so I need to file this just a little bit. I did already file the other side. So this one gets filed teeny weeny bit. Yep. Okay, put that down and hold it. Obviously, you want to keep your hammering right on the wire and not everything else because you'll start marring everything. Okay, so we'll hammer a little bit on one side. You'll flip it over and do the other side. And right on that wire. Okay, another thing I did not point out, because frankly I can't do it. I've never been able to do it. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take the blade side, and let me see. Oh, I'll show you on a dowel rod. If this was your wire, you're supposed to take your blade and you're supposed to hit it once and churn it and hit it again to create an X to help the splaying. Frankly, like I said, I've never been able to do it. So I don't. And this seems to work just fine. But I'm guessing that it makes it a little bit easier. But again, I'm not exactly struggling here. I don't want any comments about that. But anyway, just, I know. Y'all always say I'm never struggling anyway, so, but I do. If you watched my Twitch over the weekend, you would see how I struggled yesterday. I did. So the key here is to flip it back and forth to make sure that it's nice and even, okay? And I do feel some sharpness. If I was making this as a pendant, yeah, I take the time out to either file or sand that a little bit. That helped a little bit there. But, you know, take out a little bit of sandpaper. Little bit of sandpaper that I can't get into my hands here. There it is. And just sort of sand that. Right? And clean it up. So this was a nasty piece of copper that actually I pickled yesterday and cleaned up a little bit to prepare for today. But that's why it looks a little bit coppery. Didn't do a great cleaning job. Yeah. And just take off some of that sharpness. And if you have any other sharpness on the edges, sandpaper is great. It just sort of makes it this nice soft feeling. I'm using 400 sandpaper, 400 grit sandpaper. You can pretty much use whatever you want on this one that's higher than 400. Okay, I wouldn't go any lower because it's a little bit too rough. Okay, there we go. Take some of that off if there's any sharpness. All right, next up, let's make the veil, I guess you could call it. All right, we'll set that aside. So you'll take out some 14 gauge wire again. And let's straighten this out just a little bit. All right, so for my design, I'm going to make triangles. You can do whatever you want, that's up to you. It's not a big deal. But what you do want is you want to make sure that it's even, right? So pull out your ruler. Let's do it. Some flat nose. Okay, ugh. Tool caddy, not churning, stuck on something. Okay, so some flat nose, and we'll go with, let's see, 1.25 inches. Start with that. It doesn't really matter here how you do it, it's up to you. You just want to make sure that you do it twice, that's all, right? So here, we'll go with, sorry, let me move some stuff around here. We'll go with 3/4 of an inch. And just bend it. We're just making a triangle, no big deal. So from here, because I did 3/4 of an inch on that side, I'm just going to trim this first. Again, heavy duty cutters are going to be your friend because this is 14 gauge wire, right? All right, so here, because I've got it at 3/4, I'll do it again at 3/4. The key really is that you need to make sure that this end, this opening end, is wide enough for your tab. If it's too small, it's not going to fit. But this is a fairly forgiving project. Okay, so here we go. Bent that slightly off. So notice how I fixed that. There we go. Okay, so I want the opening in the middle of the triangle because we're going to hide it inside of the tab, right? Trim it, trim it. Pretty happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to correct something here. For me, this left side is a little annoying. It's not as flat as this side, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to put in my flat nose and squeeze it like so. And look, it's nice and flat. And I'll hold on to it like so. And same thing here. Make a, not bad. Okay, so we'll do this, we'll repeat that again. So you can start it however you want to start it. This time, because I have an idea of where I'm going to make my first bend, like so. And then my next one. fairly even. Yeah, not bad. Can't say it's fantastic, but it's not bad. And again, you want to straighten that out like so, and make another bend. Let's see. Here we are. Okay, let's cut that. And straighten that out just a little bit, because it's not a great, it's not real straight, so I'm just fixing it and I'm fussing with it a little bit. Okay, and obviously he's a little long. Let's see what's wrong with you. Straighten that back out, come up a little bit. There we go. Much better. Let the wire hit the wall. Okay, so, not perfect, not great, but you get the point, right? This is how you straighten it, and this is how you fuss with it until you get it right. All right, so here we'll pull out our bench block again, and let's pull out just a little bit. We'll pull out our bench block, and we're going to hammer it. So if you notice in the design, the top of it's hammered. You don't have to do this at all. However, I just wanted to bring some more texture to it, and it brings a lot of interest. You know, of course we can always leave round wire, but round wire after a while is just not that interesting. All right, so I'm just going to hammer it with my chasing hammer. Right down on it. Now, my face, when I'm hammering, is flat. I'm not doing it at an angle at all, okay? If you do it at an angle, you're going to get little dents and divots. It's a look. If that's what you want, great. So I'm taking it down to about half of the thickness of the wire. You can see that, okay? And it's gotten really hard, but that's okay. And I'm going to put it right into my the top of my loop, my fold, and notice how I just pulled it over and squeeze, just like so. And then do the same thing for the other one. Just hammer it right down on it. Another tip is if you're hammering your fingers, pull out a pencil with an eraser tip. This will help you hold it. Okay, so if you're hitting your fingers, this can prevent a little injury. Okay. All right, so then I'll put it on the other one, and notice I'm just gonna pull it apart just a little bit. Oh, I think I made this one too small. There we go. And let's squeeze it in there. Oh, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Where's my other pair of pliers? Gonna straighten that out a little bit. There we go. And bring it together. So that's where it's a bit forgiving. Look, it looks pretty darn similar. Because you don't need to see what's inside of there. And this is 14 gauge wire, so it's not going anywhere, right? All right, so now we'll pull out some 20 gauge wire and let's make a pair of earrings to go with it. This is where a multi-looping plier is really great for this purpose. Very easy, straightforward. We'll cut 2 pieces of wire at 2 inches for this so that they are the same. I'm not even bother measuring the second one. I'm just going to use the first one as a template. And we're just gonna put both pieces of wire. What the heck? Wait. I lost my wire. Underneath the, yes, underneath the ruler. Yipes. Okay. Probably should have used my flush cutters, would have been better, but we'll just file that a little bit. Okay, so here, literally I'm going to use both wires at the same time so I can make an exact pair of earrings. So I just made a loop there. And then I'm going to take it down to the big one, the biggest one. And I'm just going to go up a little bit. You see that? And I'm going to bend it back, just like so. And while it's still in there, I'm going to pull out a chain nose or a flat nose. And I'm going to do this. How fun is that, right? So simple. Multi-looping pliers are my friend. We all know this. And slip it in. Swing it to the side and slip it in. There it is. Okay, last up, we'll patina this in a little bit of warm liver of sulfur. So exciting to see all these names I haven't seen up here in a while. We've missed some of you. Thanks for swinging in and hanging out with me today on this fine Monday. And anyway, so for everybody else who's watching out there, do say hello, give us a like, or tell us where you're coming from. That way we know who our audience is. So I'm just putting this into a warm liver sulfur bath. As you can tell, it is starting to change. There it is. It probably needs to be a little warmer for this brass to take. Oops, I lost one of my earrings. Okay, hold on. I'm putting this in some water on the side. Oops, I lost one of the pieces. And I think I'm going to have to warm this up a little bit more to get that brass to change. Oh, I totally lost it. Wait. Okay, on the picture it shows the triangle more rounded. If you're talking about the silver one, that's going to be next week. This week we're doing the cold one, so it is definitely triangle. So I'm thinking that you're looking at the silver one, right? I'm going to throw this in the microwave for a second here because it needs to be a little bit warmer. The brass isn't changing. Okay, let's see. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Just throw them out there. And you know, the other thing too is, ironically, today I was contacted by 2 different people regarding questions on other things, on other projects. You know, feel free to reach out to me if you're working on something and you're stumped. You know, we're out here, it's COVID, where am I going? I can always answer your question. I might not be immediate, but it would be soon. Today it was pretty immediate. And okay, let's see. Trying to get that back on. I don't know how it slipped out, but it did. Okay. There we are. We're gonna just work this. Oh, tools today. Tools. All right. Bend it in. Same thing here. Bend this one in. You know, I'm really surprised that it actually came apart. So obviously I didn't bring it in enough and it found its way out. Let's see where the pickle is. You probably heard that go. Let's see. Much warmer. Whoops. Just throw it back in. And see how it goes. My plastic tweezers died over the weekend, so we're working with the copper tweezers today. I forgot to go replace them. So it's like taking its dear sweet time to patina this brass. There it goes, see? It's darker now. So you're going to leave this in here as long as you want. until it gets to the color that you want it to be. I mean, heck, I'm getting really impatient here, so I'm going to set it aside again. I'm going to get this really hot. Okay, oops. No, you don't want the metal in the microwave. Don't want to start a fire. Not today. Okay. I'm sorry, Andy? Hello, Montana, somebody. Andy says there's somebody from Montana. Hi. Hi, Montana. I bet I know who you are. I don't see your name on my list right now, but I bet I know who you are. Thanks for swinging in. Hope you don't have snow yet. Lori. Ah, hello. Okay. So, almost done. I'm trying to get the brass to patina a little bit better, so I'm going for a hotter pickle. I'm sorry, a hotter liver of sulfur. So I put it back in the microwave. Now understand that my microwave is a dedicated microwave. So it is only for studio use. I do not use it for consuming food or heating food of any kind. So be careful of that. Don't go doing that. If you want your pickle to get, if you want your liver of sulfur to get hotter, oh, so you can see it steaming, then heat up some water. Okay, and on the side, oof. Anyway, heat up some water on the side, and then add it to your pickle, your cold pickle, if you want, or your cold liver sulfur if you want to use again. I don't know why I keep saying pickle. Maybe because I'm so used to doing hot projects. So I thought it was really interesting over the weekend. Again, with my Twitch, I was starting to do new projects for the hot and cold, and I'll tell you what. There's a reason why I don't do cold projects very often. I think we should just torch everything. That would be me. Okay, there we are. Much better. Okay, rinsing it in clean water on the side. This is much better. Yeah. And here we are. Ooh. Push comes to shove, pull out your torch and just torch the brass. But we're trying to do this cold. Because, you know, the thing is, what I do recognize for sure is that not everybody is comfortable with a torch, nor can everybody have a torch in their living space, wherever you are. I know that this is a challenge for people. So that was part of my motivation here for doing this and changing it up. You know, hey, after 35 weeks, time for a change up, right? I'm already thinking about next year and when the next change up might be. I'm sort of excited for it. And I'm pretty excited for the fact that the creativity is still good. That I'm still coming up with new projects. I know. My mind is blown. I don't know about you, but my mind is blown. Okay, so here I'm just going to take out some steel wool. And I'm going to clean it up just a little bit. Just to bring out the highlights and leave the lowlights, and of course clean up the copper because it's pretty nasty at this point. You see, right there from there to there, how dark that is. So you can see that's already changing. Wow, from Washington D.C. all the way to Alaska. That's pretty exciting. So all I need are some people from the Ukraine to say hi, which they do from time to time. You know, that's always fun. Yes, I miss you guys, by the way. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been up to Alaska. And, you know, I think we all miss people. I'm not the only one. All right, so see, I'm cleaning that up. We'll clean up this earring wire that fell off too. I'll clean that up just a little bit, but it gives it some nice interest, right? And you do, especially on the wire itself, you do want to make sure you clean that up a little bit better than the other pieces because it's going into somebody's ear. So I think this is much more interesting than leaving it the bright copper at this point. Okay, there's still liquid in there. Okay. There we go. And that's it. Questions? Anybody have questions? Throw it out there. Andy's telling me what you all are saying. I do appreciate everyone coming by and saying hi and letting us know that you're out there and what we're doing is of some value too. The thank you notes out there have really been wonderful. You can also show your support by buying the download. That helps us keep going, and hey, pay for the stuff that we're doing. That's also helpful, and I really appreciate everyone who has made that contribution. I want to take a second to say thank you. Okay, you can also contribute by sharing the post and liking us, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook. You know, all of it's important to us. It's not gone unnoticed. So shout out to everyone who has done that. Okay, there we are. I know this one's still a little bit not clean for me. I don't know why I'm getting all anal retentive about it. It's just a sample. No one's going to wear these. Not that I know of anyway, yet. Maybe one day. If you have scratch marks or whatnot, do make sure that you clean that off with sandpaper before you patina. Okay, or else it'll just come off. And actually, you can see there's a difference in color between the brass. This is red brass, okay? And this is yellow brass. And that's why this one's a bit more yellow than this one. So for me, this is a bit of a warmer tone. This becomes off a little bit green for me. I would never wear this. Remember, I'm a little on that color. So I would want something that's a bit warmer. But so when you buy that. By the way, if you're looking for texture plate, this is a shout out to Parawire. They have started selling texture plate, and they have taken over for Metalliferous a few years ago. I will post that link here on the description of this video on the Facebook page for anybody who's interested in some texture plates. Okay, but they're a great resource for that. Anyway, that is it for me. On Wednesday we have a demo day. We're doing mandrels, all the different mandrels, different shaped mandrels, and easy ways to approach it. Okay, and then Friday, of course, we're taking the day off because it's Thanksgiving weekend. Yay! You might find me on Twitch. You'll probably find me on Twitch over the weekend, and we'll be back on Monday to do the hot project of the buttoned up. Okay, so until then, enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy your family. Please be safe. Don't gather too much. Just saying. And we will see you on Wednesday. Have a great day. Oh, so I'm off to go get myself tormented because I'm going to go try to do something good. And you know what they say, no good deed goes unpunished. So I'm going to go get punished for a little while. I'll report back on Wednesday and see how it goes. But yes, I'm going to go out and do some good deeds, supposedly. We'll see. We'll see you guys. Bye.